नहीं यार, I mean, I honestly read everything you write, and it's not anything else because आपका जो base of knowledge and the amount of work and traveling that you've done over there, one needs to understand that you know the place quite well. Firstly, thank you for your time because I know you're in the middle of travel. So thank you for that. But मेरे को ये बताओ, what's happening in that area, Bangladesh especially? We've been hearing Yunus तो ठीक है, I mean he's there, but he's facing a lot of opposition right now. Americans have gone inside. We've seen American soldiers give videos in uniform. I wonder why they would do something like that. That's highly stupid. But we know something is happening as far as Rakhine. What's Yunus's stand? ये क्या कर रहा है? Has he made a deal with the Americans? What's happening as far as this whole place is concerned?
So, Adi, let me just give a little brief on what's happening in Myanmar, क्योंकि कई लोगों ने हमारे पहले पॉडकास्ट शायद सुने नहीं होंगे, क्योंकि जब तक वो डायनामिक हम नहीं समझे, हम बांग्लादेश नहीं समझ पाएंगे. So basically म्यांमार में 50% let's say कंट्रोल है, 50% टैटमेटो के साथ कंट्रोल है, 50% एथनिक आर्म्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के साथ कंट्रोल है. जो 50% एथनिक आर्म्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के साथ कंट्रोल है, those are on the peripheral areas. You know, all the border areas ज़्यादातर एथनिक आर्म्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस कंट्रोल करते हैं. जो सेंट्रल एरियाज हैं, लाइक मैंडले हुआ, यांगडोन हुआ, नैपिडो हुआ, ये जो एरियाज हैं ये टैटमेटो कंट्रोल करता है. नाउ एक एथनिक आर्म्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नहीं है, ओवर 200 है. कई एथनिक आर्म्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस एनयूजी के अम्ब्रेला के अंदर है, विच इज द नेशनल यूनिटी गवर्नमेंट इन एग्जाइल, जो बना था जब मिलिट्री कू हुआ था 2021 में. तो एक अम्ब्रेला गवर्नमेंट बनी थी जो एग्जाइल में काम करती है, एंड दे ब्रॉट द ईओज टुगेदर. मगर दैट डजंट मीन दे ब्रॉट ऑल द ईओज टुगेदर. कहीं ईओज वो ब्रॉट टुगेदर अंडर डिफरेंट अदर अम्ब्रेलास जो एनयूजी के साथ ज्वाइन नहीं किए. आप ऐसे देख सकते हो कि साइकोलॉजिकली मे बी दे एग्री विद देम, मगर पॉलिटिकली दे आर नॉट विद एनयूजी. वो ईओज या तो इंडिपेंडेंटली काम कर रहे हैं, या तो फ्रैक्चर हो चुके हैं, या तो चाइनीज इन्फ्लुएंस है उनके ऊपर. हमने थ्री ब्रदरहुड अलायंस के बारे में भी बात किया था पहले आपके पिच, काफी आई थिंक एक साल पहले. I've written about it also. थ्री ब्रदरहुड अलायंस था टैंग, TNLA, टैंग नेशनल लिबरेशन आर्मी, MNDA और अराकान के बीच में एक ब्रदरहुड, एक अलायंस बना था. ये अलायंस had Chinese influence. It did not have NUG influence. It was backed by the Chinese against the Tatmadaw. उस टाइम पे चाइना ये तीनों को जोड़ के टैटमेडो के ऊपर प्रेशर डाल रहा था, क्योंकि दे वांटेड टैटमेडो टू क्लोज डाउन द साइबर स्कैम यूनिट्स, जो टैटमेडो नहीं बंद कर रहा था, जो हुंटा नहीं बंद कर रही थी. एंड दैट्स द रीजन ये अलायंस बना था. अब तब से चीजें बदल चुकी है. तब से हुंटा और टैटमेडो basically means the armed forces, so let's call them the junta.
Military.
So the military junta and the Chinese, उनमें कभी कोई there wasn't proximity, क्योंकि जो अभी सीनियर जनरल रहेंगे, he and the Chinese leadership never got along, even on a personal level. They didn't like each other for many years, and the Chinese have always had a problem for various reasons with the junta. But this time round क्या हुआ है कि after they exerted pressure through the Three Brotherhood Alliance on the junta, they also built bridges with the junta. And they employed a special envoy. So China के पास एक special envoy है. This gentleman has the power to negotiate. So whenever there's a problem between the EOs that are siding with the Chinese, he comes and negotiates and comes to a understanding. He comes to an understanding with the junta also. That's the kind of power that he has, you know. Imagine a bureaucrat from India going into Myanmar and having the power to make decisions there and then, depending on the situation. It's difficult for us to conceive. But Chinese के लिए नहीं है, क्योंकि that's how they work really fast. So अभी recently आपने देखा होगा MNDA लाशो टाउन तक पहुंच गया था और उसको विड्रॉ करना पड़ा लाशो से. And this was a very important move, very big move, because like I said, MNDA was a part of the Three Brotherhood Alliance, which was backed by the Chinese, and it was the Chinese that asked MNDA, pressured them to withdraw Lashio. And Lashio was a town जिसमें इनके हजारों soldiers मारे गए थे. Yeah. So it was a very emotional thing for the Three Brotherhood Alliance to do. क्योंकि आप सोचो अगर आप अगर आपके soldiers हैं who go into a town and they get killed only for you to withdraw from that town, आपके भी एक आपके भी एक authority को question होता है. मगर the Chinese managed to make them do this. Why? Because they were coming too close into areas that the junta is not accepting for them to come into. So the junta told the Chinese to move them out because now they're going into our territory. And the Chinese also started getting very worried that ये लोग बहुत EOs बहुत powerful हो रहे हैं, बहुत आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. हमारे जो assets हैं उनके ऊपर भी हमला हो सकता है. Our assets can be destroyed. Billions of dollars have been spent on the oil and gas pipelines. They have a conceived idea of a railway line coming across the oil and gas pipeline. That they have the Shopju in deep sea port. So they want to protect their assets. तो उनने withdraw कर दिया क्योंकि the Chinese know very well अगर EOs become too powerful, they won't listen to the Chinese either. So the Chinese also want to control them, and the junta is happy enough to let them do that because junta doesn't want them to come any further. On the contrary, they want them to obviously back off. Now coming to Rakhine, the reason I gave you this background is because Rakhine is controlled by the Arakan. Arakan Army has emerged as the single largest, most militarily advanced, most politically mature ethnic armed organization in this conflict in Myanmar.
The communication is good.
We must remember they only started in 2009. It's not like the other armed organizations which have been around there. Myanmar has always had armed organizations. ये कोई नई बात नहीं है, कल ही नहीं आए हैं. KIA पहले से है. KIA used to be the mothership, Kachin Independence. KIA पहले से है. You know that
that many groups have been there.
But that they have an autonomous district also called the Wa State. That's how it was wrested out of the control of the junta through armed rebellion and the pressure of China. So ऐसे ethnic armed organizations वहाँ पहले से हैं. मगर Arakan 2009 में form हुआ था, and by 2015-16 they started really, gaining power. There was a big role that they had in even throwing the Rohingyas out. Arakan's also is made out of a young dynamic leadership, which is an educated leadership. वो leadership does not just come from one part of Rakhine. Usually क्या होता था कि southern part, northern part से थोड़ा differentiation होता था. ये जो leadership है ये हर कोने से आता है. Therefore, it's managed to bring Rakhine together, and they've built it together on an idea, on a sentiment called the Rakhine way of life, the Rakhita way of life. There used to be an erstwhile Arakan kingdom.
Yeah.
And that is the sentiment that they have aroused in people. They're very, very popular on ground. It is difficult to beat them in terms of the sentimentality that they hold amongst the people. And they are politically playing their cards right. Now, we must understand this to understand where Bangladesh and what is happening in Bangladesh comes in. Why are people so interested in Rakhine? It's because of the Arakan. Now, Arakan has about, let's say, I told you about the Three Brotherhood Alliance, उसमें MNDA था, Tang था और Arakan था. आप देखो Northern Shan State में Arakan गया है, कितना दूर गया Rakhine से, and अपने soldiers भेजे हैं. That means it has about 6,000 soldiers. It had in the Three Brotherhood Alliance. They have soldiers in other places also.
In Kachin also some stuff happened recently.
Initially, the people who had trained Arakan was the Kachins, KIA.
Yeah.
Initially, right at the beginning. But now they've become independent, they can work on their own. So now they are giving training to जितने और छोटे EOs हैं उनको training दे रहे हैं. जितने और छोटे EOs हैं उनको strategic they kind of strategically helping them. काफी इनके soldiers अलग अलग जगह में positioned हैं. ऑब्वियसली थ्री ब्रदरहुड अलायंस का मैंने आपको बताया, अरकान 5-6 हज़ार वहाँ सोल्जर्स हैं, मगर अलग अलग और जगहों में इनके सोल्जर्स हैं जो नॉट ओनली ट्रेनिंग दे रहे हैं बट इतने मिलिट्रीली एडवांस्ड है कि if the junta attacks certain areas of theirs, they can attack from another side, not necessarily from the Rakhine. So they're that spread out. Now, like I said, that that Arakan has emerged as a big EO. It's giving training. It's kind of sprinkled around Myanmar. But obviously, majority इनका interest Rakhine state में ही है. Now, they've taken over 80% of Rakhine. On the contrary, ये पलेटवा भी पहुंच गए हैं जो चिन
and
स्टेट में.
some areas in Chin state also.
One township, Paletwa. And Paletwa, Chin, if you noticed, अगर डे टू डे अगर आप ये फॉलो करो, आपको एक चीज अजीब लगेगा कि यार ये लोग पलेटवा पहुंच गए मगर चिन्स did not do a backlash.
Didn't.
Now the reason that they didn't because उनको भी पता है कि ए एक बड़ा ईओ है, ए के साथ हमारा बहुत we can have a lot of sort of lot of help we can get from them. Magar Paletwa was also a part of the erstwhile Arakan kingdom. तो उनको पता है ये sentimentally, this is a part of
Went straight up to Mizoram border. That region, that river is there.
Paletwa was a very important part of it.
Yeah.
So they know that sentimentally they won't leave it. So उन्हें ज़्यादा झगड़ा वगड़ा भी नहीं किया. Also, जब Chin groups में split हुआ था, Arakan was supporting one of them. That's how influential they are. So they have influence amongst the broken up Chin groups also. There was the Chin Council and the Chin Brotherhood. They split up basis a constitution that the Chins wanted to make. They wanted to make a common constitution.
Recently, now in the chief minister of Mizoram kind of got them together and everything, right?
यार उनकी बात छोड़ो, बिकॉज इतना डिप्लोमेटिकली जो ये चीजें कर रहे हैं, वो एक एमपी भी गए थे, चिन स्टेट गए थे और उन्होंने ऐसा कुछ he said something completely irresponsible and उस टाइम पे मैं म्यांमार में ही थी. I know कितना backlash हमको मिला है, not just from one side, from all sides, from the ethnic armed organizations also didn't like it, the junta didn't like it, the civilians didn't like it. They did not expect this from us because India is always seen as a non-interfering, non-transactional party because they compare us to China. And जब वो मीजो एमपी चिन स्टेट जाके कहा है कि we welcome you to join our country, suddenly लोगों को ये नहीं समझ आता है कि वो एक एमपी का क्या इम्पोर्टेंस है, कि वो क्या अथॉरिटी के साथ गया था. He didn't even have the paperwork, the legal paperwork to cross the border, but फिर भी वो गए थे. And as an MP, he didn't have the right to speak. फिर भी उन्होंने बोला. तो ये सब चीजें obviously common civilian को नहीं समझ में आता है. But wherever I went, whoever I met, they asked me how could he have said something like this. So उनकी तो बात हम बाद में ही करेंगे. Then we come back to the Arakan, because I just think that's completely unacceptable.